These are your hot fashion takes. Hi, do you like my new camera? I feel like it's too HD. I feel very exposed. I asked my Instagram followers for their hot takes, so go follow me there if you do not and you want to be involved in the next one. Let's begin. Fashion clothes will always better suit skinny girl and lean but with shoulder men. Someone else actually asked, can one look good in clothes if buff and muscular? Okay, this is a real tricky one and I will try my best to approach it with sensitivity but still give my honest opinion. First, I think I have to explain why the fashion industry uses mostly skinny people to wear their clothes. It's because clothes are cheapest and easiest to make for skinny people. Everyone has different bodies and proportions and sizes. So, side note, that's why I find it dumb that we all buy the same clothes but in different sizes. A size S to XL is the same garment fundamentally, just made bigger. So if the garment fundamentally doesn't fit you, it won't look good regardless of size. Why are clothes easiest to make for skinny people? Well, as someone who makes clothes, I love the natural drapery of them. And skinny people demonstrate that the best because their bodies don't deform the natural form of the clothing. It's like if you have thick thighs and wear like skinnier jeans, the pants form around your body. And this is just my opinion, but most people have odd and weird looking bodies, skinnier people included. Me as well, I have bumpy ass shoulders for some reason. I actually like them, but most people don't have shoulders like mine. So it doesn't make sense for a designer to alter their clothes to account for my type of shoulder, right? My type of shoulder also will alter the shape of the garment. I love the natural flow and form of clothing, and I want to highlight that, not the body that's underneath. Any body other than skinny bodies deforms the look too much, and if I want to account for the difference, it's an extra challenge, and it might look different to how I want it to look. I even dislike having things in pockets because the pocket hangs lower, and it ruins the form. It is very nitpicky, but I'm mostly talking about how I perceive it to be in the industry, and like from a designer's perspective to why they would prefer skinnier models. The designer is trying to present their clothes in the way that doesn't alter their vision while also being easiest to construct. Skinny bodies look pretty much the same because you don't have much fat or muscle, and fat and muscle is what is stored differently in everybody. They could make clothes for muscular and bigger people, but again, the bigger and muscular people's bodies are different to each other than skinny people's bodies are to each other. From a selling point of view, you also want to make clothes for the most common body type because that'll suit most people. And then you can just make the item bigger for bigger people, but that doesn't really work because our bodies are so different. You would literally have to make clothes specifically tailored for people's bodies for them to look the best. And that is pretty expensive to do. So people who aren't skinny just kind of have to deal with clothes that aren't made for them and is difficult to make for them. So what conclusion can you get from this as a not skinny person? I think it's unfortunate that this is the case, but I think you can look good as a bigger or muscular person. I think you just have to pay more attention to how the clothes you buy fits you. Maybe pick up sewing so you can alter them yourself or bring it to a tailor to alter the clothes for you. It will require more effort because clothes that aren't skin tight aren't made specifically for your body. But again, it's possible. These are some plus size influencers that look great in terms of the clothing fitting them. I don't really like their styles individually, but them being bigger doesn't really affect that. To go back to the hot take, yeah, I think that fashion industry will be better for skinnier people for the reasons I mentioned. But fashion in general is for everyone. And I should also say that a lot of fashion is pretty fat phobic generally. They only want skinny people to be part of their brand image, so they really have no incentive to make that stuff. You can't really ignore that. You can look good, it's just a lot harder. So I would recommend getting things tailored or tailoring it yourself. I don't know how else to go about it. I think we need designers that focus a lot more on clothing for people like that. Yeah, it's a tough one and it's expensive, so there's no efficient way to go about it. Next from Fashion Roadman, who just got featured in Vogue, by the way. Congratulations. I got a mini feature at the end. Pretty neat. Thank you, Ayo. Western designers are overrated, especially as they take from foreign designers. This is an interesting one. I generally agree, although I think with the younger generation of designers coming up, we are seeing a lot more diversity in nationalities and backgrounds of Western designers. Like Moa Lola and Simone Rocha, for example, they both grew up in Europe but have backgrounds in Africa and Asia respectively. Sure, they don't have the most authentic views of the culture that they trace back to, but I think it's a good start. Europe is obviously the world capital for fashion, right? London, Paris, Milan. They get the most coverage in real life and on social media, and everyone wants to go there to make it as a designer, right? We live here, so that's what we're most exposed to as well. So I think it makes sense why Western designers get more praise, but I agree overall that we Westerners need more exposure to designers from other regions, because you always see these Western designers in other places, like in Japan, for example. You don't really see shops from other places in Western countries. I think finding new designers is honestly pretty tricky because we're always fed the same stuff that we know, like Balenciaga and everything else. You may think that I feed into that because on my channel, I've talked about Demna and Virgil, but that was more to grow my channel. That was a growth strategy, right? Talking about familiar names, it makes you click a video. Psychology 101. But I really want to grow this channel into a place to highlight lesser known but great upcoming designers, but also have people be interested to watch and learn. I remember AO saying somewhere that the videos he's done on lesser known designers like Simone Rocha don't get much attention, which sucks. So I personally want to find out how to promote these designers and have people be interested to learn about them. I don't think taking from other nationalities is necessarily a bad thing. To be interested in other cultures, an outsider's perspective is pretty valuable, but we do need more voices from the cultures themselves. I think we are seeing that more through these like immigrant-born designers, especially in London Fashion Week. London is the most culturally diverse of all the fashion weeks. But yeah, I recommend everyone to not always read about the same brands you always see. There's plenty of greatness outside of Europe, and I promise I plan to talk about them. The elitism that is present in fashion should be kept up to some degree. I feel like fashion is way too corporate and capitalist already to be properly gatekept. If you compare it to something like skateboarding, there is a learning curve which automatically cuts out like posers. In fashion, money is the gatekeeper, not the time and energy that you put in. A lot of people who skate are super critical about what goes on and the companies that try to profit off it. And I like that a lot about skating. It kind of feels a lot more democratic. Although there is obviously a fair share of brainwashed Nike heads. Who wins, the corporate Karayuma riders or the gifted hater-pilled keyboard warriors? In fashion, that model doesn't exist at all. We don't decide what goes on in high fashion. They do. What are you preserving in fashion by gatekeeping other than not letting people that you don't like in on the brands that you like? We really have no control over what trends and goes big, but even so, it's really things that are that niche. Even things that are niche that trend, like Rick Owens or Margiela, Tabbies, for example. First of all, there's still a price tag that cuts off most people. And second, those designers actually stand for something, and it's not easy to convince people about them. I don't see someone dressed in full proper Rick attire and think, damn, look at that trend rider. Oh no, Rick Owens is ruined. I'll be like, damn, good on them. They're committed. That probably represents their personality in some way. They're probably really like Rick and his morals, you know? Expensive clothing is automatically gatekept because of the price. And more accessible clothing can't really be gatekept because they're so accessible and requires no energy to get them. Like dunks, yeah, they're ruined, but they'll come back to skaters eventually. You can always find new stuff and then revisit something after it's been ruined by popularity and reclaim it. So in the end, I feel like there is no way to properly gatekeep other than on a super like interpersonal level. But personally, I think gatekeeping is a waste of time. Fashion is already so hard to get into, and if someone is trying to learn about something, I'll help them. I want more people to know more. That's in terms of knowledge. I know he said on like a consumer level, and if someone comes to me asking for like, where do I get cool shoes? It's not that I don't want to help someone get cool shoes. That's just such a broad question that is hard to answer and be like, yeah, these are some cool shoes that I like. I don't know if you like them. So in that case, I don't really gatekeep. It's just too broad of a question to ask someone, in my opinion. I kind of don't like New Balance shoes that much. My life be like. Thank you, Emily. You seem very certain of this flaming hot take. Come on, Emily. At least be confident in your assertion. How is this a hot take at all? Fashion people care about ethical fashion consumption because it's cooler. Now, I disagree with this. I think that it's not perceived to be cool enough. There isn't enough creative, ethical fashion. There are a lot of basics brands that are more ethical, but it's really hard to stand out. And also, do we need more basics brands? I love ketamine so fucking much. I love it so much I put it all on my crutch. I got ket on my dick. Bruh. 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 Essentials has us covered. Who needs anything else but fear of God? As someone who wants fashion to be more sustainable, when I'm buying an item, I don't care about how sustainable it is. To me, the way to be most sustainable is just to buy and consume less. I probably have a more sustainable wardrobe as I just generally own a lot less clothes than people who buy a lot of ethical goods. In the ethical brand department, we need more brands that prioritize interesting, driven design first and then sustainability second. People care more about how a garment looks and what it stands for than how sustainable it is. That's just being real, I think. I also don't think owning less clothes is cool enough. I think, if anything, influencers make it cooler for people to own more clothes and always wear different outfits. So I kindly disagree. We need more ethical brands that are cool. Not basics lines, and also not clothes that look like they're made of beer rings and plastic bottles. That gives sustainability a bad rap. High fashion is just as bad as fast fashion. In what sense? I think when it comes to production and stuff, fast fashion is much worse. They make a lot more for much cheaper. High fashion isn't great, but it's perceived to be better. I think when it comes to design, they can be just as bad for sure. Anyone can make a brand and call it high fashion, and people with equally bad taste can buy into it if they have enough money, like Philip Lane, for example. I think what makes high fashion better and worth discussing is that it can be much more original and have an actual narrative behind it and just better quality. Fast fashion is only ever copying and diluting high fashion's work. So in a general sense, which seems to be the sense this comment is in, then no, I don't think high fashion is nearly as bad as fast fashion. The only way it gets close is through like its kind of fast fashion releases, like t-shirts with just their logo printed across. But I'm sure that they're still more ethically made than how Shein and stuff makes their clothing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll actually look into that. That's interesting. Most high fashion clothing, no matter the quality or materials, is very overpriced. I asked for hot takes, not straight facts. People should be more open to criticism about their style. Yes and no. There's a balance. I think people should be more receptive to criticism in general. However, when it comes to style, what feels bad about critiquing people's styles to me is that they can't return their item, most likely. I'd rather let them get wear out of it than keeping it in their closet for the rest of its life because some people didn't like it and let them know verbally. Also, it's so subjective, like even the whole proportions argument, that clothes fit best when they fit to your proportions, bro. Let's look at any Rick Owens outfit, right? Not his looks, but what he actually wears, like this. His body's proportions aren't accounted for, so is this about outfit? To me, yeah. I'm not a fan of his elongated torso silhouettes. Does that mean it's bad? It's just not for me, but it's interesting, and I don't want Rick to dress any different, and there's definitely stuff I learned from his style I can incorporate into my own. It's Rick Owens. He doesn't need my critique to dress to your proportions, bro. I think a better way to go about it is not critiquing each other, but learning from each other. And just talking about clothes. People go, sick outfit, bro, and that's it. Don't go, sick outfit, bro. Go, tell me what you're going for with this outfit, bro. I'm done. I think I'm going to revisit Kiko Kostadinov for my next video and do a proper brand and design analysis now that I have more of an idea of what I'm doing compared to when I started with my first Kiko video. So look forward to that, and bye!